All eyes are on Craig Breslow now as the Boston Red Sox drop yet another game.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed, and it's all completely free. So you might as well continue to tune in because Locked On is your team every single day. Welcome to the show. I wish I was the bearer of good news today, but unfortunately I'm not because the Red Sox lost yet again last night against the Brewers, this time with a 5-1 extra innings loss. The Red Sox had a 1-0 lead all the way into the ninth inning, and then Aroldis Chapman blew his first game of the season, and the Brewers ended up tying the game at 1, and then they ended up winning in extras with a walk-off grand slam off of Liam Hendricks. So obviously not great. I can't be placing a whole lot of blame on Chapman as a whole right now because he has been reliable overall. This was the first time that he blew a save. I mean, it's really the Red Sox offense's fault to start for not scoring in this game. You can't score one run and expect that to be enough every time to win games. Not with this pitching staff and the way that this Red Sox bullpen has been. And it's just so incredibly frustrating because every single night they find a different way to lose. And they sit here with no ounce of change in sight, it seems like. So I'm going to be talking about that on today's show. All eyes on Craig Breslow, as well as Kristian Campbell's recent struggles, and answering the age-old question, are the Red Sox underperforming, or is this just who they are? So when you look at the Red Sox going into this season, Craig Breslow built a team that should, in all of their right mind, be a playoff team. And there wasn't really a question about that. Lots of people were picking the Red Sox to win their division. Lots of people were saying the Red Sox for sure are going to be better than they were last year. But things just have not been going right. And whether it's the offense isn't hitting, the starters aren't going deep enough into games, or the bullpen is blowing leads, all three of those aspects of the Red Sox game have been a problem at some point this season. And they can't seem to put everything together. And the offense has been seriously sluggish ever since Alex Bregman went onto the injured list the other day. So obviously nobody could have anticipated injuries going into the season. That roster looked like a playoff team. Then they lost Tristan Casas and they lost Alex Bregman, both for extended periods of time. The positive in that is that Marcelo Meyer was able to come up to the majors, and he has been able to perform and showcase his ability to step up at this level. So there's that. But other than that, things have been really gloomy in Boston. And the reason that all eyes are now on Craig Breslow isn't necessarily because I'm looking at his roster saying that his roster is completely flawed. I think there are certain things that he did well. For example, his main acquisitions from the offseason, Garrett Crochet, Alex Bregman prior to his injury, Aroldis Chapman prior to tonight, Justin Wilson overall, and Walker Buehler overall. Those guys have all been solid for this Red Sox team, and they collectively have not been the issue with the Red Sox roster so far. So I'm not really critiquing as much of those moves that he did make. What I am critiquing is that there were still a lot of gaps that he failed to fill. For example, obviously nobody could have anticipated that Tristan Casas was going to get injured. You don't go and just have a major league ready first baseman to start the season behind Tristan Casas when he is your starting first baseman. Nobody can anticipate that type of injury. The issue more was that the Red Sox just don't have the first base depth in their system. He also didn't really do much to fill those middle relief roles. Justin Wilson and Aroldis Chapman are both high leverage guys, and the high leverage relievers in the bullpen are performing the way that they are supposed to be, but it's certain arms in the pen that aren't getting it done on a nightly basis. And Craig Breslow went into the season with that middle of the bullpen with a big question mark. And that was something that was concerning. Now, all eyes go to him because he is the one who builds the roster. He's the one who has to make roster moves. So the more that he sits around without making a roster move, the worse it looks on him, because the Red Sox are continuing to lose games. And if they continue to roll the same players out there over and over again on a nightly basis, and the coaching staff stays the exact same, they're probably not going to see much better results. For example, why is Trevor Story still on the roster and in the lineup every single day? I know that they're scared about parting ways with him because of how much they're paying him right now, but at some point they might just have to bite the bullet and say it's best for the team for us to eat that money and take him out of the lineup every day. I understand if they want to get him some playing time, but there's no reason to justify keeping him in the lineup every single night when his bat is a hindrance to the Red Sox lineup. That's one example. Another example of all of this is the fact that the Red Sox, from a pitching perspective, aren't getting deep enough outings from their starters. That has been a big issue. Why is that? I think it goes back to coaching. I think Andrew Bailey's strategy and what he's trying to implement with the pitchers is putting a lot of wear and tear on their arms, and it's leading to the starters not going deep enough into games. And that's a direct result of the bullpen being fatigued, because naturally those guys have to be used more because the starters aren't providing enough innings in their outings. And I feel like it's a lack of that coaching mechanism and strategy as opposed to a lack of talent. Because you look at a guy like Tanner Houck, he used to be really solid even prior to last year. He was a really good pitcher for the Red Sox. And then going into the second half of the season last year into this year, he's been seriously struggling. Obviously, he's injured now, but what is that a result of? Is what Andrew Bailey is doing not working? And it seems to be an overall pattern with the pitching staff. So why are the Red Sox not making a move from a pitching coach standpoint? Why are they not making a move to get a new hitting coach because the team strikes out 10 times a game and goes 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position? Why is it that the coaching isn't changing? And the problem that I have is that I feel like Craig Breslow and company are using the injuries as the excuse to not make these types of moves and saying, well, the offense would be better if Alex Bregman was there. Okay, well, now we don't have Alex Bregman for a while, so we can't sit here and wonder about the what if and wonder what situation the Red Sox would be in if they had Alex Bregman. They don't right now. The reality is, when you don't have a guy, you make a move to fix that. And the move to fix that could be calling up Roman Anthony. At this point now, it seems like they really don't want to lose that extra year of service time with him, which I have explained on the show before. So be it. But you have to do something to shake up this roster. And I mean something big. Likely not before today's game because it's an afternoon game, so too quick of a turnaround probably to make a drastic move like that. But there is an off day on Thursday. Really makes you wonder if that day we see a drastic change. Because if Breslow goes and makes a big play, either firing a coach or calling up Roman Anthony and making a serious shakeup to the lineup, then that will show that he's actually serious, and fans will stop putting all this pressure on him of, wow, he doesn't care. He's just letting the Red Sox go through the motions, letting them run the same thing every single day, and he's not doing anything about it. So it's time for him to make that move. Hopefully he does. And coming up, speaking of the Red Sox struggling, Kristian Campbell has been in a serious slump lately. Why is that? I'm going to be talking about that next. Monarch Money is a great way to keep track of your expenses. I've actually had my bank account hacked a couple times over the years, and I didn't even realize it at first because I kind of assumed that the expenses in there were things I was actually doing and things I was actually spending money on, because hackers are really good at picking up on your spending habits now. And it was really scary because essentially I was losing money without even realizing it because I thought the transactions were mine. So ever since I've started using Monarch Money, that situation has come to a complete stop. I have not been hacked since because I now am a lot more aware of where my money is exactly going. And Monarch Money helps give you full visibility and control over your finances so that you know exactly where all your money is going, tracking all your accounts and spending in one place. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. So the Red Sox are not in a good spot right now, and that is an understatement. I mean, this team has been absolutely maddening, and I can think of so many adjectives to describe how this team makes me feel right now, but I'll spare you the emotional side of this and just talk about the facts. And the facts are that this Red Sox team is not performing at the level that we all thought that they could. And one of the biggest reasons for that is that players are just not producing at the level they should. Trevor Story, I've already talked about him. He's a big example of that, a guy who we really needed to see more from this year, and we aren't. Another player who has been slumping as of late is Kristian Campbell, who currently has a 224 batting average on the season, over 174 at-bats with 39 hits, 5 home runs, 21 runs scored, 16 RBIs, and 2 stolen bases. That goes along with a 313 on base percentage, 356 slugging, and 669 OPS. So obviously, not bad numbers that he's putting up, but his numbers earlier on in the season were a lot better than they are now. For example, in the last 28 days, he's batting just 127, 122 over the last 14 days, 167 over the last 7 days. So his batting average has slowly declined over the month of May. And obviously, batting average isn't everything, so we want to look at other numbers that go into this too, but it's definitely something of note. Another big thing to take note of with Kristian Campbell is that he's batting just 165 at home versus 281 on the road. He has an on-base percentage of 273 at home, and that jumps up to 354 on the road. So for some reason, he isn't clicking at Fenway right now, and he doesn't feel as comfortable hitting there. And that's something that hopefully he grows into over time throughout the course of his career. It's a tough place to play. I mean, I get it, whether you're a home player or a visiting player, the environment at Fenway is hard and it takes adjusting to for players. And Kristian Campbell is a player who might need that adjustment still as he goes throughout the rest of his career. But that's definitely something that has brought him down this year, is his inability to hit effectively as much at home. So it's been tough for him because one of the reasons why he's been struggling is because he's been moved around to multiple positions this year. He's played second base, he's played left field, he's played center field, and now he's taking reps at first base. And the Red Sox are kind of experimenting with that to maybe see, okay, is this a realistic expectation? Could we expect him to play first base down the road at some point? So, I mean, you have him playing all these different positions, so naturally he has to adapt to that, and that could get into his head a little bit. While he's used to playing both in the infield and in the outfield, first base is not a position that he's used to playing, so he's trying to focus on taking reps there and doing it well, while also trying to play the position well that he's playing in the game that day. So it's just a lot, and it's a lot of pressure for a rookie, and I do feel like it might be worth sending him down in the lineup a little bit so that he's not hitting fourth right now anymore, because hitting in that cleanup spot is tough. That's a really pressure-filled spot because that spot in the lineup is expected to produce consistently. And early on in the season, you can make an argument for Kristian Campbell hitting there because he was putting together some really strong at-bats early on. But now over the course of the last month or so, when he's been struggling, he could be in his head over the fact that he's hitting in such a prime spot in the order. So maybe sending him down a little bit and taking some of that pressure off of him could help him to hit a little bit better. So with his percentiles, he is in the 78th percentile in walk percentage. So he is still remaining patient at the plate, which is good to see. But his strikeout percentage is now poor. He's only in the 18th percentile for that because he is swinging and missing a lot more. And early on in the season, his strikeout to walk rate was very low, whereas now his strikeout to walk rate is a lot further apart because of the fact that he is striking out more than he was earlier on in the season. So it's an imbalance in the numbers there a little bit because he's still walking at the same rate in which he was. So that's been tough to kind of see from him over the last month or so. He's chasing at more pitches than he did before, although his chase rate is in the 75th percentile. So he still is not chasing an over excessive amount, which is promising, but his plate approach over the last month or so really has felt a little bit more like he's overthinking than he did in the first few weeks of the season when he was just going up there and hitting with confidence. Now it's almost like he's being a little bit too careful with what he's swinging at, and he's overthinking the types of pitches that he should be swinging at, and it's affecting his play a lot. He isn't putting together a lot of quality at bats as of late. His average exit velocity is average in the 43rd percentile right now. So that's something that he's kind of hovered around all season so far. Doesn't have a ton of power on that bat. Bat speed, he's in the 70th percentile. Hard hit percentage, just in the 51st percentile. So again, he's about average when it comes to his power. But there have been some big differences over the last month. And one of the biggest ones that I have noticed is that he seems to be overthinking a lot more at the plate now, whereas early on in the season, he didn't really seem to be overthinking much at all. And he would just go out there and swing the bat. And it was working for him. And he was making a lot of good contact. But the problem now for a rookie is that when you have a rookie out there and he starts to struggle and he's not able to connect the way that he would like to, then it starts to get in his head. And the best Major League Baseball players make it because they know how to handle those types of emotions internally. And they know how to say, okay, I can play better tomorrow. I had a bad day, but it's okay because I can bounce back from this. It's a lot harder for a rookie to be able to have that mindset of, okay, I can bounce back tomorrow. And it really brings to light the question of, did the Red Sox send Kristian Campbell to the majors too soon? Should he have gotten more reps in AAA before being called up? Should he have started the season down in Worcester and had somebody else play second base, like Vaughn Grissom, for example, and then when Kristian Campbell was really ready, they brought him up? Because even starting the season, his defense wasn't exactly at the level that we were hoping it would be at. And hopefully the Red Sox really thought it through and said, okay, we feel confident in Campbell. We know that he's a guy who can go out there and he can give us what we need on a nightly basis. And I'm hoping that this is just him being in his head a lot and that he's able to turn things around. But he definitely is overthinking his at-bats right now, almost looking for certain pitches and being a little bit too selective. So he's swinging and missing because he's missing pitches that he thinks he should be swinging at, when in reality he could miss pitches over the rest of the at-bat that could be a better pitch for him to hit. So it's definitely a little bit alarming how he has declined over the last month or so, specifically over the last couple weeks, given that last 14 days, his batting average is 122. So obviously, I hope that he gets back on track in that regard. With runners in scoring position, he's batting just 164 on the year, and with men on base in general, 186 on the year. So he hasn't been able to get a lot of those big hits that the Red Sox really need right now, and that's been tough too because they leave so many runners in scoring position. And it's been hard to not be able to rely on Kristian Campbell in those moments to come through when the Red Sox really need him to. So his strikeout rate as a whole has gotten worse than it was to start the season. That's a big thing. That's something the Red Sox can hopefully address, is that he is not overthinking a lot of things and that he's going out there with the confidence he had early on in the season, because I know that version of him is still out there. It's just a matter of digging that back out. So hopefully he's able to turn things around in that regard. But coming up, are the Red Sox underperforming or is this just who they are? I'm going to be talking about that next. Don't forget that Locked On Red Sox is available on YouTube and all other podcast platforms where you can subscribe to get daily Red Sox content from myself, whether this team's down in the dumps or they're playing well. I am always here for you to bring you the latest going on with this team, including special guests and other people who are as passionate about the Red Sox as I am. So you can expect some interviews with coaches, players, etc. coming up here in the near future and really getting to the bottom of what's going on with this Red Sox team. Make sure you continue to tune in every day. And while you're tuning in, I appreciate you making Locked On Red Sox your first listen today. For your second listen, make sure to check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. It will be a game changer for you if you want to know what's going on in all the other games that happen that night rather than having to scroll through ESPN and check scores all the time. This is the place for you. So check out the Locked On MLB Game Night show, and that will keep you in the loop on everything that's going on outside of this mess of a Red Sox team. When I say this Red Sox team is a mess, I really am not exaggerating. I really do mean it's a mess. I mean, you have players who are just not producing. They just simply are failing to come through when they need to, and it's been a serious concern. And the problem that I have is the lack of consistency. They'll win a couple of games, but they're failing to go on a big win streak to turn their record around. This is a team that just loves to live around the 500 mark. And when you feel like things are starting to go right, they then drop down into this habit again of losing games and finding ways to have things go wrong. And that's just what it feels like it is turning into with this team. I was talking about before, Trevor Story, a guy who just has significantly struggled this year outside of the first couple weeks of the season, just has not been producing. How many chances is he going to get? Kristian Campbell is a guy who has been struggling as of late too. His strikeout percentage is 26.8% and his walk percentage is 11.6%. His strikeout percentage has been in a spot where it's worse right now than it was earlier on in the season. And that's a tough pill to swallow because I worry that he's falling into the Red Sox strategy. And that goes back to Pete Fatsi, who should be fired. I mean, there's multiple things that the Red Sox could be doing to try to change things up and make this team feel like they're in a better spot, but they aren't doing it. And it raises a question of, are the Red Sox underperforming, or is this just who they are? Because if you had asked me prior to Alex Bregman getting injured, I would have said they are underperforming. 100%, no doubt about it, even without Casas, because he had been struggling before his injury. Last year, he missed most of the season. And even with him out of the picture, I still felt like the Red Sox were underperforming because this was a roster going into the season that should have had excitement around a playoff berth. I felt like the clubhouse vibes were good. This was a team that was excited to go into the season. Alex Bregman even said in an interview that there were a lot of positive vibes around the clubhouse. And this was a team that really felt like one that was meant to go and do big things and win. And they're just not doing that right now. They're doing the complete opposite. And I feel like prior to Bregman getting hurt, they were underperforming because they just had too much talent, but they weren't putting everything all together. But now with Alex Bregman out, I feel like this is unfortunately who they are. They don't have as many productive hitters as it looks like they do. And Bregman being down really exposes the Red Sox lineup for what it is. You have Rafael Devers, who himself has been in a slump lately at the plate. Wilyer Abreu, who's been in a slump at the plate. Jarren Duran, who overall hasn't been hitting at the same level that he did last year. And it just gets to be incredibly frustrating because you have guys who you thought were going to step up offensively this year that aren't stepping up as much as they should be. You have Marcelo Meyer, who's off to a good start over his first few days in a Red Sox uniform. But generally, the lineup isn't performing that well. Saddam Rafaela took some strides, but then fell back into a pattern of struggle again. And again, I still go back to Pete Batsey when it comes to the Red Sox offense, and a guy like Kristian Campbell, who started off with so much confidence, and now the confidence might be declining because he's continuing to struggle and is not able to make as much hard contact right now. And it's just been infuriating to see. But with Alex Bregman out, I don't really foresee them being able to hit effectively a whole lot, because Alex Bregman was their best and most consistent hitter. And you take a guy like him and you take him out of the lineup, now all of a sudden the lineup feels a lot more depleted, because when the Red Sox had runners on base, you had Bregman there. And if you knew he was coming up in that inning, you could feel pretty good about it, because you could say, okay, Bregman is the guy that I would want up right now with runners on base, because he likely would come through for this team. So it's really frustrating. And until the Red Sox make a drastic change, I truly think this is who they are. I think they are a 500 baseball team that isn't really good enough right now to compete for anything more, because there are too many holes right now. You still have a guy like Liam Hendriks on the roster who really shouldn't be. I mean, we saw again in the game last night that he can't pitch in high leverage, even though he complained about the Red Sox usage of him and how he didn't feel like he was being utilized enough out of the bullpen. Well, buddy, this is exactly why. You haven't shown that you can pitch in the high leverage situation, so why should the Red Sox put you in the game at that point? This is a situation where maybe you say, okay, Liam Hendriks probably isn't at a spot where he can pitch effectively anymore. And I love the guy. I think he's a great human being, and I think he really stands for what baseball is all about. But at the end of the day, the Red Sox need to win games. And if he's not helping you win games, maybe you consider a DFA and you call somebody else back up from AAA who has shown success in the minors and maybe even at the major league level, and you give guys chances. Or you sit there and say, okay, what exactly do we need to do to start putting things all together? Because it just seems like when one aspect of their game is on point, another aspect of their game is not. And then they fall back into this habit of, okay, what am I doing differently than other teams are doing? What is not working for the Boston Red Sox right now that is working for other teams? I mean, they, for some reason, just seem to have gone way more downhill than they should have. And they seem to be taking a step backwards instead of a step forwards. And obviously, it's still only May, so I'm not just giving up on the season yet, because there's still so much baseball left to be played. But they have not shown any sense of desire or sense of improvement. It's just been consistently the same mistakes over and over again with this team, which is why I feel like this is who they are. They don't have an Alex Bregman to come and save them. They don't have a Garrett Crochet 2.0 who can throw behind him in the lineup and save them. They don't have a Walker Buehler to add to that lineup of starting pitchers. I mean, you have those guys. You have Crochet and Buehler who are pitching well. You have Richard Fitz, who hopefully will continue to pitch well now that he's back from the IL. You have Hunter Dobbins, who the Red Sox are seemingly moving to the bullpen. Maybe that'll help the bullpen, but you don't have another Walker Buehler that you can add to that rotation. You don't have another Garrett Crochet that you can add to that rotation. If you duplicated both of them, obviously you'd have a really good starting rotation, but the fact of the matter is you don't. Who's saving them? As of right now, with where this roster is at, this is who they are. They are a 500 baseball team until the Red Sox make some drastic moves for them to not be. And those drastic moves might need to involve ripping the Band-Aid off with coaches and not staying as loyal to certain players, like guys like Trevor Story. Because if it's the same thing over and over again, how do you expect change? I mean, players could want it. Rob Refsnyder has even actually said and expressed it. He said, it's frustrating. I really hate losing. I'm so tired of losing. He said, we suck right now. And he wasn't lying. I mean, this team is not playing good baseball right now. And he was not afraid to acknowledge that. And he said, hey, listen, we need to figure it out and we need to start playing better baseball. And guys can say those kinds of things all they want, but until the results actually start happening and they see active changes, I don't feel confident in them being a team that I'm just going to sit here and say, oh, they're underperforming. Because if they were underperforming, they would have started to turn things around by now. And I just feel like there would be at least a sense of an upward trajectory from this team. And what's scary is I'm really not seeing that right now. And I really wish I was, but the reality is that I'm not. And I hope that they change this narrative sooner rather than later. But I would not be surprised if we wake up at some point in the next couple days and either somebody's fired or they've made a drastic roster move, because that's the type of thing that the Red Sox need to do in order to be taken seriously. Because every day that passes that they lose, every day people are saying, what are we doing here? This is a bad baseball team. And if they don't want to be looked at as a bad baseball team, something needs to change. Do I feel confident that it will? Not necessarily, but maybe they'll surprise us. And if you believe that they could surprise us, then just continue to keep the faith. Go Red Sox, and I'll catch you on the flip side.